Hey guys, this is Mr. Martin. In this video we are continuing with our transformations unit. In this video we're going to talk about a specific type of transformation called translations. Okay, and we've looked at this a little bit, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth in this video. So let's talk about the two things that we're going to work on in this lesson. So first, for a translation, this is a transformation that preserves size and shape. Okay, so we're going to move it, but it doesn't change size, it doesn't change shape, and we call this a rigid transformation. Okay, rigid meaning that we're not changing anything about it except for its position on our plane. Plane being just a flat surface. Okay, so this means that sides and angles stay the same. All right, so now we have certain rules. Let's talk about translation rule. There's two ways we're going to do this. We're going to do it in terms of words, or we're going to have a rule. Okay, so let's talk about the rule in symbols, and then when we look at the examples, we'll look at both. So let's say we start with some point x comma y, and then we make this arrow here. This arrow is required as part of writing the rule. And then we're going to take all our x values and we're either going to add or subtract some constant value. And you'll see when we look at some examples, we'll fill that in with a number. So it's going to be x plus a number, which would mean we're taking our original x values. If we use a plus, we're going to move it to the right to find the new spot. Or if we're subtracting, we're going to move it to the left to find our new spot. And then we'll do the same thing with the y's. We're either going to go plus for up to move the original point up, or minus to move the original point down. Okay, so this is the original point. And then this means we are going to move to, okay, and then this is going to be horizontal movement. Horizontal movement. And then this is going to be vertical movement. So it looks kind of complicated in this form, but once we start doing some examples, you'll see it's really not that hard. And then keep in mind, this is important too, when we apply this rule to a figure, every point moves the same distance. Okay, so they're all going to move left to right the same, and they're all going to move up down the same based on the rule that they give us. Let's take a look at some examples. So for number 1, given the coordinates of the image of polygon BREAD, notice when we named this, we picked this letter B first, and then we just went around Doesn't matter which way you go around, but you go around naming each point until you name them all. After applying the translation rule, xy becomes x plus 7 and y minus 5. So this part here means move each point right 7, and this rule here means move each point down 5. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so let's start with B. We're going to move to the right 7, and we're going to move down 5. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 to the right, and then 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So there would be point B prime. Now, the rest of these are going to end up being off the screen, but this whole figure would just be shifted this way. So let's take a look at and just use our rule to figure out the new coordinates. So I'm going to have B prime, which I see here is 3, -1, -1, and then we'll have R prime, E prime, A prime, and D prime. Now, usually I'll just use the graph to help me figure out where these are, but another way you could do this is by writing down the original coordinates of the points and then applying the rule to it. So for B, we just used the graph to find that the new coordinate was 3, -1. For the other ones, let's write down what the coordinates are. So R is -1, 7. E is 3, 5. A is 2, 1. And D is -2, -1. Alright, so now for all the x values here, we're going to add 7, and all the y values, we're going to subtract 5 to get our new values. Okay, so -1 plus 7, that's going to give us 6. And then 7 minus 5 is going to give us 2. So that's the new spot for R prime. Now for E, again, we're going to add 7 to the x. So 3 plus 7 is 10. And then for the y, subtract 5. So 5 minus 5 is 0. Now for A, 2 plus 7 is 9. -5 minus 1 is -6. And then for D, -2 plus 7 is 5. And for the y coordinate, -1 minus 5 is going to give us -6. So this one's a little bit tricky. Remember, if we're at -1, we're going to go down 5 more. So we're starting at -1, we go down 5 more, we'll end up at -6. Right? And then we could graph these if we wanted to. A little difficult with the graph that they give us in the problem, but these would be the new coordinates. Alright, number 2, it says write a translation rule that takes triangle ABC to its image, A prime, B prime, C prime, or explain why it cannot be done. Alright, so remember, a translation does not change size or shape. but we can see here the shape change. So this cannot be a translation. So we could just write this is not a translation. All right, now we're done with that. Now for part B, this does look like a translation. We've taken, this is our pre-image, so this is the original, and this is our image, this is our new one, so original and new, and we can see we've moved everything over. So we're going to write this as in words. So let's see what we did here. We moved to the left, so 1, let's look at just A and A prime. We've moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the left. So move 6 left, and let's figure out how much we moved up. So we're going to move up to here. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, and move 5 up. Okay, so this would be our rule in words, but let's also do it in symbols. So remember, in symbols, we're going to start out with x comma y, which stands for our original points, become, and then 6 left, so that's -6, so x minus 6 comma, and then move 5 up, so that we're going to add 5 to the y's, y plus 5. So this would be our rule in symbol form, so we'll make sure you know how to do both. All right, and then lastly, number 3 here, it says quadrilateral FISH has coordinates F, I, S, and H. We can see them there, and then is translated so that H is 3, -7. So I'm going to write these down here. So I had H was -2, -3, and H prime was 3, -7. Okay, so I can see that I went from -2 to 3, so I moved right 3, and then I went from -3 to -7, so I went further down. I went down by 4, and I went down 4. So now we can use this to help us find the coordinates of F prime, I prime, and S prime. All right? So F prime, we'll apply this rule now. I'm going to go right 3, so that's +3. So -8 plus 3 is -5. And down 4, so that's -4. So 11 minus 4 is 7. And I prime, so I'm at -7, and I'm going to add 3, so that's -4. And then 9 minus 4 is going to be 5. And then for S, we're at 0. I'm going to go +3, so that's 3. 3 plus 0. And then 6, down 4, that would put me at 2. So these would be our new points. If we wanted to write a rule for this, which I would expect you to know how to do, we would have all our original points x, y become, and we could use this information here, x plus 3 and y minus 4. So that would be our rule in symbol form. All right, so we'll end the video here. If you had questions, make sure you get those answered, and we will see you in the next video.